Beverly Hills, a beautiful location, and a really warm and loving woman in front of me.
Thank you.
I'm proud of being who I am and being real, and I welcome other loving people into my life that can see and feel me for the person that I am, and I believe you're one of those people because of what you're doing in the world, and I'd love you to share some of that personal journey.
My father was in the music industry and he was working with a lot of huge rock stars. At the time I had no idea, but he got into drugs, the mafia, and when I was 5 years old he committed suicide. And I saw him, and that's something that changed my life forever. And I remember as a kid just not knowing how to process it. So I just held it in, and it made me very tough. And sometimes when I see the things that are happening in the world, I think the most painful part for me is when I see a child that's like lost their innocence. I remember someone asking me how I felt, and I remember the first thing that I said was, "I don't care." And that became a mentality that I took on until I went back and unraveled my childhood. But it was always, I had to be tough and I had to hold it together for everybody else. And my mother, shortly after, she became a drug addict. And growing up, I was put in a situation where I had to be the mom in the house. We had our electricity going out, we were on welfare, we were kicked out of so many different homes, I don't even remember how many. We went to probably about 9 different elementary schools. The drug use continued on. So I went to live with my grandparents. Just amazing angels, incredible, very warm and loving. It was amazing what unconditional love did for me in my healing process. When I got into junior high school, that's when it really started coming out, all of the pain and suffering, and I got involved with always the craziest kids that were just in trouble, in and out of jail, smoking pot, selling pot, and I was hanging out with a girl who was just really bad news. She took a bottle of alcohol and broke it over my head. And guys pinned me down and she just beat me in the face. She just had severe jealousy and anger. I think that was a huge turning point in my life where I just realized I had to change, the people who I was around, because had I not, I could have ended up dead or in jail. When you come from something very traumatic, you're either going to go one way or the other. There is no middle ground. And it's either going to kill you or make you. And I was determined to understand myself. When I was 22 years old, my grandparents were in a car accident and they were most likely not going to live. My sister and I just prayed and prayed, and one miracle happened after another, and they eventually came home.
What were you praying to? What is God for you?
God for me is everything. It's the force, it's the omnipresence that connects everything that exists. I remember having a really amazing experience. I was driving in the car and the sun was shining on me. I just had to pull over because it was so intense, and all of a sudden I just lost track of time. And something just woke me up, and I knew what I believed in. I had answers to all of the questions about God, about how the world works, about everything was just in me, and I got it. I felt the greatest high bliss. I was just crying out of gratitude, and I felt just so safe for the first time in my life. It was like a hyper awareness that continued on for months. When I came around people, I could feel their souls, I could feel what they're feeling. I was extremely empathetic and sensitive to everything that was happening around me. I had to go into deep meditations that sometimes would last for hours. As soon as all of this hit me, I just felt like I needed to know more. And the first thing that I came across was Tibetan Buddhism. I was buying all of the self-help books and every single book in philosophy and spirituality and the mystical world that I could find. But what I realized is that these miracles are always happening around us, and it's just when we wake up to it as to how much we experience it.
Have you specifically done any personal work that
Yes.
has allowed you to release these emotions?
A lot of personal work. I worked with a woman that does mind deprogramming, a really incredible woman, Catherine Cardinal. I've worked with Byron Katie. Another thing is Landmark Forum, which is really incredible.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that this is just a passion of mine now.
What advice would you give from your own personal journey to these people out there that have experienced something similar to you?
Find somebody that you can talk to and let it out. And that's the first part of healing.
Would you change any of your life?
No way. I wouldn't, nothing. When you come from real pain, it just creates the opposite when you wake up to it and you understand how to make it serve you.